Because these are the two most common maintenance items for the Riivo shoes, I decided I would put them together in one video. Let's start with the bumper change instructions. If you are here to change cleat inserts, you can skip forward to this time. In this video, I will be changing a road style bumper, but the process is essentially the same for the off-road shoes as well. First, using a chisel, carefully begin to work up under the bumper. Work around the edge, lifting carefully. Many times the epoxy is so fused that the carbon will want to delaminate rather than the actual bumper let go. So just be mindful and take your time. Warming the bumper with a heat gun or hair dryer can be helpful. If you end up pulling a layer of carbon up, this is typically no problem because there are multiple redundant layers. Once you get the bumper lifted some, you may want to switch to a flathead screwdriver for safety. Once you have the bumper removed, you may notice that the aluminum pins are mushroomed a bit. Use a dremel or a multi-tool with a barrel sanding bit to remove this mushrooming. Otherwise, putting the new bumper on will be almost impossible. Now, using a dremel, scuff up one side of the new bumper and remove any remaining epoxy or adhesive from the shoe that may cause the new bumper to sit incorrectly. Test fit the bumper to be sure that it goes on unobstructed. Clean both surfaces with rubbing alcohol or acetone. When mixing the epoxy, I find it useful to just put some tape directly on the table. If you did not order the bumper kit with the epoxy included, you can use really any other over-the-counter 2-part epoxy adhesive. Now, butter the mixed epoxy onto the bumper and press in place. If epoxy squeezes out, you can use your finger to wipe away any excess. Use some tape to hold the bumper while it sets. Strapping tape works really well for this because you can pull down very hard. You're ready to roll. Now, changing the inserts can be a little more tricky, but can be customer executed. This is especially important for our international customers that don't want to send their shoes back and forth thousands of miles just to change an insert. In this video, I will be changing a road style look insert, but the process is essentially the same for the SPD or SpeedPlay inserts. First, you want to start by carefully removing the insole. The insoles are lightly tacked in, so use a narrow, sharp chisel to break free the adhesive as you lift. Be careful not to damage or tear the foam. Once the insole is removed, you should be able to see the flush carbon door edge. From this point forward in the video, I'm going to work on a set of shells without the upper attached, so we can really see what's going on here. Before we remove the door, we are going to want to mark the door so it can be placed back perfectly. Using a fresh silver Sharpie or a fine whiteout pen, make some marks that extend off the edge of the door. 4 marks like this should be fine. Now, using a hairdryer or a heat gun on very low heat, warm the door and use the chisel to get up under the edge and carefully lift. Once removed, you will be able to see the nylon retainer that holds in the insert. You will need to cut and remove this to remove the insert. Next, before replacing the insert, use acetone to clean any glue residue off the carbon door and the footbed so the door will go back in nice and flush. Be sure not to erase the registration marks you made earlier. Once clean, you can put the new insert in the shoe. Because the nylon retaining material was applied before the outsole was bonded, it's not possible to replace it. So you will need to go ahead and attach your cleat externally and hold the insert in place. Just be careful each time you remove your cleat or you may end up having to fish for it. Fortunately, this is not very difficult because the shoes have long external slots that allow you to fish around fairly easily. Once the insert is in place, it's time to replace the door. First, dry fit the door to be sure it goes in correctly. Next, using contact adhesive, apply glue to the door edge. While the glue is still wet, quickly replace the door and press in place, wiping away excess adhesive that squeezes out. Applying while wet will allow you to slide the door around and get into perfect alignment. A link to the type of adhesive you will need is in the description below. Use some tape to hold the door in place and let sit overnight to set. Because the adhesive was applied wet, do not reinsert your insole or ride the shoe for at least 12 hours. This will allow the adhesive to gel and hold properly. And there you have it. And that's going to be it for this video. Please reach out to us if you have any questions, and if you have not already, please subscribe to this channel and ring that bell to be notified of any future product videos. Thanks everyone.